Hi, I'm the host of the STO Smokers Lounge. I'm here to tell you about Anchor, the perfect app that you can use right now to start your own podcast network. You can broadcast right now. All you got to do is download the app, whether you have a phone, iPad, or even a laptop or desktop. You can right now download Anchor or go to Anchor FM right now and start recording and have your stuff broadcasted over multiple platforms such as Spotify. So go to Anchor today and start your podcast career like I have. Because trust me, I love me some Anchor. I've always been a fan of gangsters, mafia films, and gangster flicks. I love Goodfellas, The Godfathers, Once Upon a Time in America. I always marveled at Lucky Luciano and Maya Lancey and their story, how they rose to prominence and made the commission and was able to convince five of the biggest mafia families, gangs, or what have you in New York to come together as one. And they eventually expanded throughout the nation. And they have ties that goes back to Italy, where they originally are from. But then I looked at the black gangster. We not as, romanticized as that of the white gangsters, the Italians, the mafia. I think about the black exploitation films such as The Mac and Bucktown and Hell Up in Harlem, Three the Hard Way. We was either drug dealers, pimps, citizens that just couldn't take it no more, or what have you. Robbery and everything. But then came the movie Hoodlum, with Lawrence Fishburne, where he played Bumpy Johnson. He was the first one to play that role. And it introduced us to, the Queen, the numbers, the policy. And we actually saw a guy that went against the mafia. That's what we're getting here with Godfather of Harlem. And it made me think, why is it that the black gangster never got the same love? And why did we not connect across the United States and we're able to tap into racketeering racks and unions and all that good stuff? And why is it that the rap industry, hip hop culture, they embrace the Italian gangsters and the El Chapo and as well as the other type gangsters that not even in black culture? You never hear rappers say that my name is Bumpy Johnson. My name is Frank Matthews. I'm Frank Lucas. No. Only one person actually glorified an actual black gangster. And that was what? Freeway Rick Ross. Now, of course, you got the gangs, the leader of gangs, what have you. But either way, we're not looked at as the same. We're not treated as the same. We're not revered as the same. Think about how many movies has came out about and documentaries that came out about the different mafiosa and mafia bosses and godfathers. The different movies that spawn from that type life. Think about it. One of your favorite gangster flicks is what? Goodfellas? So, I want to talk about that. I actually want to look into that. And we're going to dig into it. Welcome to the Smokers Lounge. I'm your host, Kavanaugh, the Southern Champ, a.k.a. the porn rap star. You already know the drill. If you wanted to see my porn, you want to hear my music, you want to follow me on social media, go to allmylinks.com/pornrapstar. We are brought here to you by Anchor. You already know what it is. The perfect app for anybody that's trying to start their own podcast. Also, we're a proud member of the GW District Black Podcast Network. So go to shopgwdistrict.com and check out the network. Me and many other podcasts are ran by Black people. And also, while you're there, get some shopping done because you got the chance to get some nice product from over 1,000 Black retailers from fashion, health, and beauty. And we also are sponsored by the Facebook of the LS community. I'm talking about lsworld.com. So I'm done with all that. Let's get to the meat of the matter. Black gangsters just don't get the same love. I've seen people try to do, series, documentaries, and everything else on Nicky Barnes, Frank Lucas, you got the American Gangster, what have you. One of my favorite documentaries is by Al Prophet, where he talked about Frank Matthews. And Frank Matthews is close to my heart because this guy's from Durham. He went to school. He knew my dad. My dad knew who he was. Period. And not to be trying to toot my own horn, but my dad was also a cousin to Frank Lucas. But either way, Frank Matthews was from my area. Go ahead and check out the documentaries on YouTube. Frank Matthews was bigger than that of Frank Lucas, bigger than that of Nicky Barnes. He basically controlled drug trafficking up and down the East Coast and was stretching out West Coast. This was during the time of, I think, right after the French Connection, I think. Frank Matthews was killing it. He was making millions. Then eventually, it caught up with him, and he disappeared. They never caught him. But to hear the world tear it, Frank Lucas and Nicky Barnes was the men. But during that time, it was him. But why we don't hear rappers talk about black gangsters like him? You want to know why? Well, it's easy. Because movies has made it to where black gangsters don't look as sexy as the Italians. Most of our movies, of course, each of the black gangsters, each of the black gangsters lived in the neighborhoods. I get it was the neighborhoods, it's urban and all that good stuff. But think about this. Why did we not get the same respect? Why did the Black Mafia guy or the black gangster didn't get the same respect as on screen? Why have we not seen a movie that discussed the Philadelphia Black Mafia? We still haven't got a movie about Nicky Barnes. The reason why, because the black gangster is not as sexy. He don't have that gravitas and that cachet like that of a Lucky Luciano. The name don't sound as sexy. Like Henry, Mickey the Cobra Cogwell. Ellsworth, Bumpy Johnson. Don't sound as, don't roll the tongue as Meyer Lansky. Gambino. Sammy the Bull Gavano. You feel me? The way they talk, the way they do they thing. Hollywood, of course, pushed that gangster image back in the 1950s, in the 30s, in the 40s, in the 1920s. We didn't see black mafias. We didn't see black gangsters. We didn't see true black thugness until the exploitation days. And then guess what they were? They were pimps. Yeah, he might have been the boss. He ran the city, but he was a drug dealer. Yeah, some people, he was shaking out. I mean, it was not as romantic. You feel what I'm saying? No, it didn't look as sexy. They was wearing the suits and all that, and they're talking about running unions and construction. Hollywood made the Italian gangster, and history made the Italian gangster seem like he was smarter than the black gangster. So thus, rappers, they don't talk about black gangsters. They might speak about them in music, but they don't use their name. They don't glorify them as much as the Italians. They glorify Scarface way more, who is an imaginary gangster, than that of the real gangsters that was actually in our neighborhoods. Now people are going to say, that's not true. No, it's very true. But then the other question that came to me was, Bumpy Johnson in The Godfather of Harlem was talking about the 10 Harlems, where he was basically got the 10 cities, the top drug dealer in the 10 cities, one of them being, of course, my man Method Man was the leader of the Philadelphia Black Mafia. March 12, if I understand that, from what I'm seeing here on Wikipedia. And he basically got them to come together, and he was going to distribute the drugs to them, which in turn, they were going to get it cheaper, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I was like, well, why didn't he sit them down and say, why don't we be like the Italians, and we come together and, and we do like what the Italians do. Which method was actually better? Because understand, with all the black gangsters, when you think about the Black Mafia family, for example, they had different people in different cities. They had distributing throughout the country. Same thing with any of the black gangsters you could think of that was attached to mafia people, such as Jeff Riddle, Francis Big Frank Nitty Usher, who ran the underground of the Motor City back in the mid and late 70s. Or Pernell Stacks Edwards, who was associated with Lugazy's crime family out of New York. See, that's why I'm saying, understand, a lot of these cats, they dealt with the Italians and got their drugs from them. Now, granted, Ike Atkins did not, but that was a totally different story. But the point being, they never decided to be a clique. They might have got drugs from whatever distributor they had, but they never been a clique. Was that better than having a family thing? Because, okay, for example, with the mob having a family and you got 5 families, does that not cause more attention to be seen? Also, that means that all of y'all are connected in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And plus, if y'all divvying up the whole country, that means there's more competition. But it also allowed them to consolidate their power. Sorry about that. To consolidate their power. And to also create more influence. See, understand, blacks could never made a mafia because, one, the mafia would have shut it down, the government would have shut it down. And plus, like I said, how much connection did we have to each other? I mean, we might have distributed drugs to each other and the whole nine, but 2 black kingpins working together like that of what the mafia was doing, we didn't have the capacity of doing that, nor did we have the resources of doing that. So it would have never been an actual mafia. It would have never been an actual La Cosa Nostra for us. Plus, we didn't have no connection to the motherland. So with them, they already had tradition that actually fell over here. There was no tradition for us to actually follow when it comes to actually being a crime organization family. That's why you had, the different groups, the different cliques. No, we won't going to ever own no union or tap into a politician for so much because we're not white. Regardless of the Italians, regardless of they're Italian, they're white. And we weren't the only ones like that. You had the Italians the same way. You had the closest thing to a mafia that you heard of outside was, of course, you heard the Jewish mafia. Then, of course, you heard of the show, the Amish mafia. Then our mafia, where the close thing to our mafia, you might say, would be the Philadelphia Black Mafia and the BMF, the Black Mafia family. But they weren't the true sense of what mafia was. They were just a clique. They were a gang. Not the same. Their influence did not reach nationwide and into the crust of society like that of the Italian mobsters. Smoke that over for a minute. Now, if the Reconstruction era had went differently, maybe differently. But no. Black people, we would never have a piece of Vegas. We would never have a piece of Atlantic City like that. So in actuality, our game had to be the drugs, the policy. And of course, the mobster wants that, and we had to fight every time to get rid of it. So think about it. Bumpy had to fight Dutch Schultz for Harlem, for the policy. Him and the Queen. He didn't have a national syndicate of Negroes that was in the same boat as him that was coming to give him backup. Like I said, at the most we ever did was we distributed drugs to each other, but it was never a situation of, yo, man, I need help with this. And because we're under the same umbrella, you bound to help me type situation. For example, Ike Atkins, he had a network. See, that's what we have. We have networks. We didn't have a mafia family. We didn't have a national syndicate. We just had networks. That's how we worked. One person knew another person that knew another person, and that's how the distributing of drugs ended up happening. We always had worked with the mafia. The mafia has always had a black person that was right there beside them that helped them move their drugs and make moves, not just in the black community, but period. See, Godfather of Harlem is not so far off. Bumpy Johnson was basically the guy that they anointed who they were going to distribute drugs through Harlem. They said, hey, you the man for Harlem. Even though Bumpy probably took that role, but still, that is what it was. Same thing with, what's his damn name? Nicky Barnes. Nicky Barnes, the mafia loved him. They said, hey, you the man. And he made a clique which was similar to that of the mafia, but they wasn't families. Meaning each one had their own complete shit. An inner system, organized system. But like I said before, we wasn't built that way because once again, all they did was took something that they did back in the motherland and brought it to America and applied it to America. We didn't bring nothing back from our motherland because the way we was brought over here. But the thing that, like I said, is that puzzles me is that how you don't see a lot of movies about the actual, factual, historical black gangsters. The guys that I'm seeing here listed on gangsterreport.com, top 5 black associates to the Italian mob. Now, like one of the guys I was just mentioning, Henry Mickey Cobra of Caldwell. He was the founder of the Cobra Street Gang on the west side of Chicago in the 1950s, my man. Yeah, Caldwell rose to the ranks of the black underworld. As a part of the Italian Mafia. He was basically a liaison. See, because he was black, he could never be in there. He ran with the outfit. He aligned himself with the Peace Stone Nation, another West Side African American crime syndicate, and he basically dominated the drug game in Chicago until his death in 1977. See, we ain't got no movies about people like Jeff Riddle, the self-declared Black John Gotti of the Ohio underworld. He was a lieutenant. He was a trusted lieutenant to the Youngstown Mafia leader, Lenny Strollo, in the late 80s and the 90s. Think about that. That black man was actually a chief lieutenant to the Mafia. He was never being made. He was never going to be made. He was on his way to being made, from what I understand, for what they're saying here. But, he ran into a shakedown and got killed in 1996. So, this guy almost had an opportunity to be made, but you'll never see a movie about that. You want to know why? Because it's kind of the same reason why we just saw a cartoon about a black samurai, but you'll never see a movie about it. And then, of course, y'all heard of Pernell Stacks if you've seen Goodfellas. I don't need to say no more. So we always had connections to the Mafia. Like I said before, Frank Matthews, you will never see a movie of him because he's the one that got away. We'll see some documentaries, but you know what I'm saying? We don't romanticize our gangsters. We don't. We don't look at them the same way or treat them the same way or give them the same respect as the white gangsters and the Italian gangsters. I was sitting there just looking at all the gangster movies that I've sit there and seen, period. And I'm like, damn, I would love to see a movie about Nicky Barnes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we seen American Gangster. That was hot. We got a little taste of Nicky Barnes, but hopefully we getting this documentary. We got Paid in Full. Paid in Full was nice. I like that. You feel me? But like I said again, it's with our gangsters, I'm trying to explain it the best. I hope y'all getting the picture. What I'm saying is, when you look at the Italian gangsters, you get a different sense than when you do the black ones. And it's more of, we give more respect to them than we do our own. We give more of a shine to them than we do our own. That's all I'm saying. So, it made me think, like I said, when I look at the different movies, it made me think, yeah, why couldn't we work together? But then I was like, nah, we don't really need to. Because working together not necessarily means that we have to be a family. It could be network. We were just a thug. We did pretty much damn near all the same crimes. The only thing we didn't do was, we didn't fuck with unions. But we would never gotten to unions to begin with. We would have never touched unions. We would never get close. Think about it. They couldn't believe. But no, here's the crazy part about this. Even black, well, of course, American Gangster, they weren't going to make it seem like Ike was the leader. They made it seem like Frank was. But why didn't they do the movie where it was Ike? I mean, I'm pretty sure Ike family wouldn't have minded it. I mean, I'm pretty sure they were like, shit, why not? Because Frank Lucas is a sexier character than Ike. And two, do you think the military really want a movie that comes out to where how he really breaks down how they got them damn drugs in them damn casket of dead military. That's why they didn't do an Ike Atkins movie. Military would have had a hissy fit. Because think about it. They never said or showed how they loaded those caskets in the movie. So, but I thought it'd be nice to talk about, the Black Mafias and give you some names of some cats that you may have not thought about or what have you. Like I said, like the Black Mafia family, it's not the Black Mafia family, the Philadelphia Mafia. They were Muslims. They were thug. Now, them the guys that gave Frank Matthews hell. Actually beheaded his lieutenant while he was in a party. They made all drug dealers had to give them money for selling drugs. Can you imagine a movie? Can you imagine a movie for that shit? That would be hot. I'm sorry. That should be a series movie itself. I love that. Of course, we all know that Snowfall is based off of Rick Ross. But like I said again, the reason why I like Freeway Ricky, the reason why I said I like Godfather Harlem, a little bit more closer to history. A little more close to what been going on at that time. And it could be plausible. You tell me he didn't match with some of them mobsters? Other than that, Adult Schultz? And see why I also like it, they always show Bumpy as being 2 steps ahead of everybody. Even in Hoodlum, 2 steps ahead. That's the other thing I like about with some of these gangsters, with the black gangsters they've been portraying lately. That these guys are very highly intelligent and strategic as fuck, and they always stay ahead of their enemy. I like that. See, that's the one thing I can say. When it comes to thugs, they actually do what's right in Hollywood. Well, lately anyway, they don't make it seem like we so savage and stupid. But like I said before, we don't learn more about our black gangster. We don't learn more about the Black Mafia. I mean, they should teach that shit in school. Me personally. It's a part of history. Think about it. People don't realize where the Lone Ranger came from. It was a black man. But that's a story for another day. Everybody want to whitewash shit. But it is what it is. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to give you some thought process and give you some shit that you ain't really, really, really thought about. Because, like I told you before, I always try to do my research on these gangsters, man. Like even with Eddie Jackson for Detroit, I love that documentary where he was getting interviewed and the dude was asking him, he was like, "Well, how much money do you make?" He said, "Well, sir, if I tell you how much money I make, that means I'm telling you my business." It's like the way he talked. And what's crazy is he got caught at the same time that Frank Matthews got caught in the same fucking casino. These North Carolina country motherfuckers run you city boys. Keep that in mind, baby. Keep that in mind. That's why I said it's like I said before, we took the crimes that was left to us and we made the best out of them. And that's keeping it real. The policy was our shit. Think how many policy owners. And I would love to hear more about some of these policy owners. I know they had some in Chicago. I know that, but Judge Giancana kidnapped the black policy owner in Chicago and made him give up the business. I would love to hear his story. It's so many stories when it comes to the gangland for us, for back in the 1920s and the 60s and the 70s, that we don't even tap into, that we don't even tell on screen. Why don't we? Those stories deserve to be told just as much as Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass and Martin Luther King. We need to know our history, good and bad, baby. Why haven't we did a movie discussing or people talk more about so much of our black history, from kings to rulers, because our story just ain't sexy to the world? Or is it because it's just not sexy to us? Because we don't want to see our own story. We like seeing other people's story, but we don't want to see our own. Even though our story is probably more interesting. I mean, think about this for a second. Frank Matthews was one of the biggest drug dealers in the world. He is still right now on the top 10 wanted list, and he might be dead right now. Died of natural causes. He was about the same age as my dad. Shit. Think about it. Smoke that over for a minute. Wouldn't that be an interesting story just to see the ending when he grabbed his girlfriend and they're about to leave? Then he comes to Durham. He gets his money out of Durham. Down there, the farmers and got, anyway, the black bank down here. The sheriff from Durham is on his way to try to catch him, and he misses him that quick, within a minute. I'm sorry, man. It's so much shit that we could be tapping into. That's why, yeah, we do need a truly black-owned HBO or what have you. It's so much of our history that we can tell with stories and movies and what have you that we don't. So me, I hope moving forward we see more stuff about the black mobster, the black gangster, the black thug. And I ain't talking about the motherfucker that's sitting there doing the crip walk and wearing red and blue. I'm not talking about the guy that's a pimp. Give me that intelligent thug. Give me that dude like Bumpy Johnson. Give me the best friends in Detroit. Give me that story. Pretty, you know what I'm saying, Maserati Rick. I ain't talking about from the point of view of the white boy. Give me your man. Shit. I'm just saying, there are gangsters out there that y'all can tap into, man, do some movies. And history about. That's all I'm saying. So, I'm done. I hope y'all enjoyed this. So, life is a learning experience. What's the point of experience? You ain't learn anything. Smoke this over. Yo, research your black gangster and know your black history.